I know it sounds crazy, but I need to tell you this before I convince myself it didn't happen, before I erase everything from my head. The tape, the project, the reason that took me there, none of that matters now. Just the eyes. Those damn eyes. My name is Eric Lawson. I'm 27 years old, I live in Austin, and I'm an independent documentary filmmaker, the kind who makes a living telling other people's stories, trying to avoid at all costs his own. But one day, inevitably, she knocks on the door. I hadn't seen my paternal family in years. My father never talked much about them. I always said it was better this way. Weird people. From another time, he murmured, as if it were a warning. The last time I was with them, I was 9 years old. I remember an isolated house surrounded by dry cornfields and a silence so thick that it seemed to stick to the skin. After that, they disappeared from my life. Until one morning, I receive an unexpected email from my second cousin, Ruth. She was one of those people who responded to Instagram stories with generic emojis, but we never exchanged more than 3 sentences. They're still alive, Eric. Almost all of them. Come before it's too late. Bring your camera. It's time to find out why you too have eyes like ours. My eyes are a little unusual. Grayish-green with a slight golden halo around the pupil. A lot of people comment. I never paid any attention, but that sentence worried me in a strange way. Maybe it was the reason I needed. A narrative hook for a personal short. Roots, I thought. A story about going back to the past, reconnecting with our origins, discovering family secrets. My first really intimate documentary. I should have known that certain doors, when opened, cannot be closed. I hit the road 2 days later. His great-uncle's farm was in some forgotten corner of rural Kentucky, near a little town called Hemlock Hollow. The name already seemed like it was taken from a cheap horror book. No phone signal. Worked there. The directions Ruth gave me were manual, written in the body of the email. I drove for more than 6 hours, immersed in 1,000 thoughts, until the asphalt turned to dirt and the earth turned to mud. The GPS died shortly after. All I could do was trust the twisted trees and rusty signs that showed the way. When I finally arrived, the sun was already dying behind the hills, and the sky seemed to bleed. The house was exactly as I remembered. Old, huge, suffocated by cornfields. Peeling paint, windows closed with thick boards, and a wide balcony that seemed to swallow anyone who approached. Ruth was waiting for me on the stairs. She was thinner, her face was hollow, her hair was long and lifeless, as if she had been slowly drained by that place. "Welcome back, Eric," he said without smiling. "It's good to see you too," I replied, trying to hide my discomfort. "Do they know I'm here?" She hesitated before answering. "You know, they're ready to see you. But there are rules. Don't record without warning, don't go into closed rooms, and please, don't talk about the eyes." That gave me goosebumps. I laughed, disconcerted. "Is this serious?" She didn't respond. He just turned and went inside. The first night was strange. The house felt alive. It creaked, sighed, trembled in the wind as if it were breathing. They put me in a room on the second floor where the wallpaper was flowery but faded and smelled of old dust. On the nightstand, there was a cracked, oval mirror. When I looked at him, I swear to God, for a second I thought I saw someone standing behind me. But when I turned around, there was nothing. Ruth told me that her great-uncles, 7 of whom were still alive, rarely spoke, and that they preferred to maintain the customs of the lineage, whatever that meant. I tried to shoot some footage outside the next day, but every time I lifted the camera, I felt like I was being watched, as if dozens of eyes were peering behind the closed windows. At dinner, I met some of them, all very old, skin like yellowed paper, exposed bones, vacant looks. They moved in silence, don't smile, and everyone had exactly the same color eyes as me. Seeing that, live, was like a punch in the stomach. That's when I started to notice patterns. Whenever someone talked too much, the others would knock on the wood of the table 3 times. Always 3. The cutlery was arranged at exact angles. Prayers before meals did not mention God, just him, a pronoun said with reverence. Ruth looked away whenever I asked. "It's just tradition, Eric. You wouldn't understand." But I was there to understand. On the 3rd night, I woke up to a sound, something like scratching coming from downstairs. I picked up the camera, still on, and started filming, even though I didn't want to. It was instinctive. I went down slowly. Each step seemed to scream beneath my feet. In the room, there was no one, but the sound continued, now coming from the basement. I don't know why I went there. Maybe because of the adrenaline, maybe because I wanted answers, or maybe because deep down I already knew. The cellar door was ajar. An icy wind rose from there. When I opened it completely, a wave of putrid smell hit me. I went down. With each step, the smell got worse. And the sound, now it wasn't just scratching. It was like a voice, a murmur, repeating something, a continuous whisper, like a prayer made by a throat that has already forgotten the human language. Down below, in the dim light of the camera flashlight, I saw it. There were marks on the floor, circles, symbols, and eyes, eye designs everywhere, some still dripping with fresh paint, and in the center, an armchair, and someone sitting in it. It was one of the uncles, but his eyes were blank as if he had gone away, leaving only the shell. His lips moved, but without sound, until they stopped, and he looked at me, a look that went through me like an ice needle. Run. I wanted to leave the next morning, but the car wouldn't start. Ruth said it was the humidity. Lie, I knew. They didn't want me to leave. He didn't want to. On the last night, everything collapsed. I woke up to screams. Ruth standing in the hallway, with blood on her hands, whispering disjointed things. The house shook. The lights flickered. The cellar door was open again, and her uncles were around her, on their knees, singing in a language I had never heard, but which made me cry with fear. And in the hallway mirror I saw my reflection, but it wasn't me. It was something with my eyes, just the eyes. Everything else was something else, something behind the skin, something old that waited for me. Run away. I ran through the cornfield until dawn. I didn't look back. I never spoke to Ruth again. I never went back. But to this day, sometimes I see reflections that don't belong to me, and sometimes, when I'm alone, I knock on wood 3 times without realizing it, as if something inside me was still there, as if that hadn't stayed in the basement, like I never really left. You can even run away from a house, but don't run away from a name, not even what runs in your blood. In the days following my escape from the farm, my head became a battlefield. The images, my uncle's blank eyes, the guttural chanting coming from the basement, the bloodied Ruth muttering words that didn't make sense, all of it repeated itself when I blinked. I slept with the TV on. I left the bathroom light on. He locked all the doors. But what's the point of locking the doors from the outside if what scares you most is inside you? I tried to forget. I buried the footage. I formatted the memory cards, deleted the files on the external HD. But when I plugged the camera into the computer, there was a single folder, no name. Inside, a video that I didn't remember recording. The footage began with a shaky image of the basement stairs, my voice panting, heavy steps, but I never went up those stairs, with the camera in my hand. The screen cut to a figure in the mirror, my reflection, yes, but something in the eyes. They didn't shine with the flashlight light. They absorbed it. I paused there. My chest was tight, as if it had shrunk inside me. I knew what you were telling me, even if the mouth refused to speak out loud. The thing that was sitting in the armchair in the basement, it wasn't waiting for me. He was waiting for me to come back. 3 weeks later, I received another message. This time it was an envelope. No sender, no seal. Left at the entrance of my building. Inside, an old photo, in black and white. A group of men and women all holding hands in front of the farm. And there, in the middle of them, a boy. It had my face. Same traits. Same damn eyes. On the back of the photo, a message in pen. The lineage does not die. It falls asleep. I tried to track down Ruth, without success. Her number had been disconnected. Email no longer existed. Even social media has disappeared. It was as if she had never existed. But the worst part came one night later, when I knocked on the wood of the table 3 times without thinking, without wanting to. I realized this when I heard the echo resonate back. 3 knocks coming from inside my bedroom wall. That's when everything changed. I found myself surrounded by signs that would have seemed like coincidences before. People on the street who stared at me for too long. Children who cried when they passed me. Mirrors. Fogging up even when the bathroom was dry. And one night I woke up to my front door unlocked. Nobody had entered, but the smell, that basement smell of rotting wood and damp earth, was there. The camera, which I hadn't used in days, was on, filming my bed, alone. I tried to seek help. I talked to a friend, a psychologist, thinking that maybe it was just trauma, post-experience stress, hallucinations. She listened to me in silence, and he just said, "You said everyone had eyes like but Eric, your eyes, they've changed since we last saw each other. Like this. They're more deeper. The color seems to rotate a little. I don't know. It gives me goosebumps." "This is impossible," I said. But deep down, I already knew she was right. That's when I decided to confront everything. For the first time, I wanted to know the truth. Not for the movie, not by the project. For me. I returned to Hemlock Hollow, this time at night. The farm seemed even more isolated, as if the entire world had shrunk around it. There was no light in the windows, no sounds of crickets or wind. The surrounding forest seemed to hold its breath. I climbed the rotten porch steps, pushed the door, and the house was empty. Empty, but not abandoned. The table is still set, the clean dishes, the chairs lined up. On the living room wall, there were now portraits, oil paintings, all with eyes like mine, hundreds, generations. In the center of the room, a single candle lit, and a ticket. The blood has returned. The skin awaits. Trembling, I went down to the basement for the second time. The darkness seemed thicker, the smell more lively. The drawings were different now. It wasn't just eyes. They were mirrors, frameless mirrors, drawn with wax and dried blood. And in the center again, the armchair. But this time, I was in it. Yes, me, my image, my body, my eyes, standing there like a flesh sculpture, not breathing. When I took a step, the figure also moved its fingers, like a reflection that wanted to escape the mirror. A voice whispered, but it wasn't in the room. It was inside my head. "Did you think the blood was yours, Eric?" "No, the blood is ours. The flesh is ours, and the skin is borrowed." I ran. I stumbled up the stairs. I left the house without looking back, and as I ran through the cornfield, I felt something running beside me. It didn't make a sound, but I felt the air moving, my feet sinking with mine into the mud. And at the last moment when I reached the car, miraculously working, I looked in the rearview mirror, and there I was, but with a smile that was never mine. Today, I don't know who came back with me in that car. Sometimes I catch myself speaking with a different voice in front of the mirror. Sometimes I hear wood creaking behind me, and I knock 3 times, as someone who responds. The only thing I still have left are my eyes. But even they don't feel like mine anymore. There are days when I wake up and still recognize myself. Others? No. The first thing that changes is the way the world looks at me. The market attendant avoids eye contact. The upstairs neighbor started leaving early, as if she wanted to avoid passing me in the hallway. And the building's dog, a friendly golden that always wagged its tail at everyone, now barks from afar, as if it senses something in me that I can't see, but I feel. Something inside me moves. Sometimes it's in the middle of the night. I wake, up with my breath caught, the sheets stuck to my body with sweat, and for a few seconds the entire room appears to be underwater. The walls undulate, the furniture seems suspended in time, and I listen. Always the same sound. 3 beats, droughts. You need it, like a memory trying to come home. It's been 3 months since I last left the farm, but something from that night came with me. Maybe it wasn't just something. Maybe it was someone. I started finding objects around the house that weren't mine. An antique bone comb on top of the sink, a rusty spoon in the colander, a thick, dark ribbon of hair on the bathroom floor. I live alone, and still, the objects kept appearing, until one morning, I found one of the paintings from my aunt and uncle's house on my living room wall. I never brought anything from there, I swear, but there it was. The painting portrayed a woman, high, skinny, paper skin, eyes like mine. On the frame, a name is carved, Madeline, and on the back, a handwritten sentence, Ella foi a primeira a justa pele. Little by little, I started to lose myself. One day, I woke up in a roadside hotel 300 kilometers from home without remembering how I got there. In his pocket, a keychain with the letter E. On the bedroom bathroom mirror, a message written in dark lipstick. Is that still you? My memories began to mix with others I didn't recognize. I remember fields I never visited, of voices I've never heard, with names that sound familiar but that I've never met. Abram, Thessa, Alaric. I started recording everything in diaries, but even they began to get confused. Pages written in my handwriting, describing rituals, prayers, symbols, things I would never learn, not even by mistake. And a name began to appear frequently among the records, the Meat Watcher. One night I woke up with the TV on by itself. It was on a black screen, but with a serious sound, rhythm, like a heart beating underground. I got up, dizzy, and went to the mirror in the hallway, and there it was. He, my reflection. But it wasn't just a reflection anymore. He didn't repeat my movements. He didn't imitate me. He watched me, with deep, fixed eyes, dark skin at the edges, as if something beneath was beginning to spill over. And he spoke, not with sound, but inside my head. You're not the first, Eric, but it could be the last. Just accept it. Since that day, I stopped leaving the house. I deleted my social networks. I closed the curtains. I started living in the dark like my uncles did. I ate less. I slept even less. And I wrote. I wrote compulsively. Notebooks and notebooks full of symbols I don't remember learning about, drawn with frightening precision. My face lost weight. My dark circles darkened. And my eyes, they changed. Now the gold around the pupil pulses, as if there was a living light inside, something burning slowly, waiting for the time to come out. It was then that I received the second envelope. Inside, a map, drawn by hand, with shaky strokes, raising common points between my home and the farm plan, and there was the detail that froze my blood, an identical symbol drawn on both holds, an eye with a black spiral in the center. Below the drawing, a sentence, "You brought the soil with you." It was at that moment that I realized the house never stayed there. She came with me. That same night, I decided to dig. Yes, in my basement. With an old shovel and a flashlight, I began to dig in the corner where the ground creaked, the loudest. With each taste, the earth grew darker, wetter, more live, until the blade hit something solid. It was wood. I dug up a lid like a small door, and when I opened it, the smell returned, that farm smell, from the basement, from the ritual. Below, a stone staircase led down to something that shouldn't be underneath an Austin apartment building, but it was. And I went down. What I found was an almost perfect replica of the farm's basement. The same drawings on the walls, the same candles lined up, the same armchair in the center. But now it was empty, and behind her a wall covered in mirrors. Real mirrors, hundreds, some broken, others blurry, but they all showed me different versions of myself, young, old, in the flesh, no face, and everyone whispered in unison, "Give the skin, leave the eyes." I started laughing. Hallucination, craziness, a complete mental breakdown, perhaps, but inside me, there was peace, because I finally understood. It wasn't about filming my family story. It was me becoming part of it, or maybe it always has been. In the last recording from my camera, which I found this morning, even though I never turned it on again, I appear sitting in the armchair, with your eyes closed, smiling, while figures approach from the sides, all with eyes like mine, and in the background an ancient ancestral voice, made up of centuries, whispers, "The bloodline continues." And now, Eric, you are the flesh watcher. If you're reading this, don't look for the farm, don't look in the mirror too much, and above all, don't trust those who have eyes like yours.